Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of the 2008 Doctor Who Christmas special, The Next Doctor. Okay, after the emotional and rollercoaster ride of the Stolen Earth Journey's End, bar a small break with Music of the Spheres, we now get a bit more of a enjoyable, well, I say enjoyable, a more fun Doctor Who story with the Next Doctor, as the 10th Doctor runs into a man calling himself the Doctor in 1851 London. Um, and he has to work out the mystery about this incarnation who does not remember being the 10th Doctor, or at least doesn't remember him at the time. So he has to work out that mystery. Meanwhile, the Cybermen are at work in London town or city. Why do people always call it a town? It's a bloody city. The city of London is literally called City of London. Anyway, so the Cybermen are at work in good old London City. So the two doctors combined, along with the other doctor's companion Rosita, have to stop the Cybermen from taking over. Basically taking over with their Cyber King, which they and their human accomplice Miss Hartigan are attempting to create to, take over the world. So that's basically the plot of the Next Doctor, and we see pretty early on, the 10th Doctor running into his supposedly a future self, if not the next incarnation, then another one. And it was sort of theorized at the time that Derek David Morrissey will be the 11th Doctor. It was actually kind of a trick because David Tennant had announced he was leaving around October of 2008. Stephen Moffat had been confirmed to be taking over from Russell T Davies when he would leave, and he would bring in his own Doctor, the 11th Doctor. And this story tries to tease the audience into thinking that David Morrissey is the 11th Doctor, or a future Doctor at the very least, with his own companion Rosita. However, there are plenty of clues throughout the episode to say otherwise before we get the big reveal just before the halfway mark. It would have been a bit more fun to have a bit more of this guy thinking he was the Doctor, spoiler alert, before we got to halfway, but it's still really well done. So Morrissey plays the other Doctor, and he's really great in the role. It does seem like the Doctor's got he's got memory loss, and he has nightmares. And these are some really good ideas. It's even a good idea just for the Doctor to have nightmares. That's a good suggestion. And this, as I said, this Doctor has memory loss. Could they be doing something similar with Jo Martin's Doctor, with Series 12 and possibly in Series 13? Is she a future incarnation that's forgotten her past? Is she a past incarnation, and for some reason her future self, Jodie Whittaker, has forgotten her? It's not quite made clear. Is it another person who's been mistaken into thinking the Doctor, and Chris Tripple's just messing with us? Not sure just yet. We'll find out, hopefully. We better find out. Otherwise, what's the point in introducing it if we're not going to find out? It's not like stuff in the Cartmore Master Plan where it's stuff to be introduced just to be left as a mystery. No, this is something big. This is something we need to know. And the same would be said around here if we didn't find out by the end. But thankfully we find out. It turns out Jackson Lake, the first supposed victim of murders by the Cybermen, accidentally picked up an info stamp and used the core to destroy the Cybermen. However, due to witnessing his wife being murdered and his son being kidnapped for the Cybermen's work, where they need lots of children to work for them, his mind just ran away because he could not look back. And using an info stamp, he accidentally got all the knowledge of the Doctor, as it was an info stamp on the Doctor, and it fed back into his mind, and therefore he thought he was the Doctor, the next incarnation to be precise, and was now out to stop the Cybermen. It's not actually been said how long exactly the Cybermen have been around London, how many of these murders, kidnappings, and how long the Jackson Lake Doctor has been around, or Jackson Lake thinking he's the Doctor. And at one point he rescues a woman called Rosita, and who becomes his companion and assistant. And they have this base near the gasworks where they can store their TARDIS, which is actually a balloon. Despite this being quite a funny gag, it's actually important for the climax later. But before we get the reveal about the other Doctor being Jackson Lake, it actually is working pretty well as a way to have a look at what a future Doctor could be like, what his personality could be like. He's sort of a mix between the 9th and 10th Doctors. He's kind of that balance. His memories being kind of damaged. He can't remember that much. Um, being a good driving motivation for him, as well as to stop the Cybermen and protect London. And yeah, I think he would have been a great Doctor. I think David Morrissey would have been a fantastic Doctor, whether it was this particular portrayal or just a different sort of portrayal. But he was just a guest star for this story, and he had a really great guest star. And I also really like Jackson Lake when he gets his memories back in the second half, and he joins the Doctor as his companion properly, alongside Rosita, who's also really great and really fun and sassy, and a pretty cool companion. Again, I wouldn't mind her becoming a proper companion if Morrissey's Doctor actually was the real 11th Doctor. I would be completely happy with that, and I would be completely happy having Rosita on board as well. She's really great. I don't know if she's actually counted as a proper companion like Jackson Lake is for this story. I think she should be, because not only is she Lake's companion, but she also serves as a secondary companion to the Doctor himself. So I think she should be considered a proper companion, or at least just for this story, like Jackson Lake is. But yeah, anyway, these guys have done great. They're really well. I also like Jed, the guy at the gasworks. I mean, I didn't like his comment about the kids needing a bit of a whipping for no reason. I don't know what he was thinking there, but apart from that bit, he was great. He was fun and enjoyable. Similarly, Davina something, Davina Knight, Carvin, Davina Carvin, Miss Hartigan. She's great. Oh boy. I thought David Morrissey did a fantastic job as the other Doctor / Jackson Lake. Oh, but my goodness, our main human villainess of this story. My goodness, is she great. Miss Hartigan is a great character who seemingly has a great open mind, but is restricted by her status, by gender, and probably also how wealthy she is. I mean, she's a matron at one of the workhouses, so she's probably not that. She's probably either poor or working class, but her social status isn't that high, so she's kind of let down by those status, because this is Victorian London, by the way. We have to remember gender and social status, and even age status with the kids. Basically, if you weren't an upper or middle class or middle to late age white man, you were more or less a bit screwed. Middle and upper class white men under the age of 14 might also have been okay, but kids, women, black people, and white men who were poor or working, yeah, they're not going to be so well off in the Victorian times. So, yeah, Miss Hartigan feels a bit restricted by her social status, despite having a great mind, and feels ignored by men of charity. Even if the men of charity are honest to God, good people, especially with children's charities, she still feels let down by them, and decides that the Cybermen should just kill them, apart from the ones that she needs to gather the children to work as part of the Cybermen. It's not actually sure why they need the kids to work for the Cybermen, and why she got teamed up with the Cybermen in the first place. Well, actually, she says they offered her liberation, the one thing that she wanted. But how did she get in contact with them in the first place? How did they meet up? That's a bit questionable. Whilst we're on nitpicks, negative notes, the Cybermen voices, as David McLaughlin mentioned in one of his 5 Who fans videos about 2012 time, was it 2013, around the time of Nightmare in Silver? I think it was about 2012-13, maybe more 2013. But as David McLaughlin said in one of his 5 Who fans videos around 2012-13 time, they changed the voices slightly for this story from what they were in Series 2. Yeah, and I agree with him. They're not very good. Nicholas Briggs continues to be a great job as the Cybermen voices, but they've changed the way it's spoken. It's now a bit squeakier, for some reason. I don't know if it's supposed to sound more robotic or less robotic, but it just sounds a bit off compared to what it did in Series 2 and what it will do later down the line. I don't know if this voice box sticks for Series 5 and Series 6 Cybermen, but certainly they'll change it for the new Cybermen introduced in Series 7. Okay, but the Cybermen are still pretty great despite a tweak to the voice. Not to necessarily Nick Briggs' voices themselves, but how they were executed here. They kind of the tweaking of whatever tweaks they got here that sound a bit awkward. But the Cybermen themselves are really great. Supposedly, the survivors of the Cybermen went into the void after the events of Doomsday, which collapsed during the events of the Stolen Earth Journey's End. These Cybermen, led by a cyber leader who's now decided to paint his face and part of his face mask black and open his brain, a thing that was only used for cyber controllers up until this point. And we'll get this type of cyber leader again in series 5 and 6. Or did in series 5 did they go back to the series 2 cyber leader? They might have actually. And then series 6 they bring back the next Doctor cyber leader for Good Man Goes to War. Yeah, I think they did do that actually. Pandora Opens has the series 2 one. I could be wrong. But I think series 5 Pandora Opens has the series 2 cyber leader from Army of Ghosts Doomsday, and then this cyber leader design comes back in A Good Man Goes to War in the following season. I could be wrong. I don't think we've had a cyber leader since that story, though. It's just been usual Cyberman. I think the closest to cyber leader after that are the Three Masters, who've tried to use them in some way or form. Anyway, but like I said, the Cybermen are really great here, and I really like them. And whilst I think the brain for the cyber leader doesn't quite work, I think it should have stuck with cyber controllers only. The black face plant is really, really great. But yeah, if you cover the brain thing, and also if he goes excellent half a dozen times in the episode, I think he would be the best cyber leader. Okay, that last bit was a bit of a joke. But I love the 80s cyber leaders. I can't help making a joke if I want to at least mention them. But yeah, Cybermen have done great. Their plan to create a Cyber King to emerge from London. Yes, reasonable, I guess. Well, how do they build that technology? With only a few of them, not much technology. They're in the wrong era. They need the info stamps that they stole from the Daleks, along with the Dimension Vault gun thingy the Doctor uses at the end. To send the Cyber King into the Time Vortex. Despite all of these lack of resources, they're able to build a Cyber King in how long? A month? By the looks of it, even with the work of the children, but that's only for the last hour or two to raise the Cyberman, Cyber King. It's a bit strange. I do like, however, that they plan to put Miss Hartigan as the Cyber King, and I love the bit when the Cyber Leader just turns to her silently when she asks who sits there. That was brilliant. In fact, the Cybermen even put their legs on silent for one bit to sneak up on the Doctor and Rosita. Sneakily turn back round. So when the Doctor and Rosita go to have a look, they're right there waiting for them. That was really great. And like I said, the Cybermen are really great in this story. It's just a strange thing with the voices that they did. Not Nick Briggs' voices themselves, just the tuning of them. And the fact that the cyber controller now shows his brain off for some reason. I also like the cyber shades that kind of emerge between a cat or a dog upgraded, and I also like how rats and mice get upgraded into cyber mats in series 6, and you got insect cyber mites in series 7. I don't know if those are insects upgraded into cyber mites or if they're just completely robotic. Or maybe it's the remains of little creatures with some sort of tiny little brain. No, I'm not sure, but I like the idea of cats or dogs being upgraded into cyber shades, and also rats and mice being upgraded into cyber mats. But yeah, I thought these creatures were pretty cool. And I thought the episode as a whole was a pretty good episode. Really well directed and really well put together. Some great story, great drama, great action, great Cyberman stuff. I think the last act does go slightly downhill. I mean, I don't think it's bad. Not at all. I think it's pretty fun. But the climax is a little bit questionable. But I think it still works really well for the context of the story. And the ending is also pretty cool with the Doctor opening Miss Hartigan's mind. Though the bit where she basically screamed herself and the Cybermen and Cybermats to death. Yeah, that's how the story ends. Last time it was press all the buttons and pull the levers that you physically can. This time it's screaming to death. Yeah, Planet of the Dead, your climax needs to be better. But on the whole, I think this is a really fun and enjoyable story. Has some great character moments. I especially love the very end where Jackson Lake and the Doctor have a final talk after Jackson makes everybody cheer for the Doctor, and then he gets to have a look inside the TARDIS himself. and they go off to have a great Christmas dinner. Woo! So yeah, this is a really fun and really enjoyable Christmas special. I don't think it's gonna beat Christmas Invasion or Voyage of the Damned, but I think it's a fun, enjoyable episode and really well done. It does work on many levels and a really good Cyberman story as well. Might be my least favourite of the 3 Cyberman stories of the new series so far. Then again, some of the stories in the Moffat era, not all of them, but some of them, aren't that particularly amazing either. And the second of the Chris Chibnall era stories, Ascension of the Cybermen's Timeless Children, I also think is not quite as good as this, though The Haunting of Villa Diodati is probably my favourite Cyberman story after World Enough Time and The Doctor Falls. Anyway, I'll be scoring the next Doctor a well-deserved 8 out of 10. I know this isn't a very popular story amongst the fan base. I know it's not highly regarded, but I personally like it. I think it's a pretty good episode, really enjoyable, and a good Cyberman story. It's definitely worth giving it a check out, and it's definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, really enjoyable. So that's it from The Next Doctor. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for the first and currently only Doctor Who Easter special, Planet of the Dead. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who, Oh, come on, you prick. And the 2 doctors, Rosita, the other Doctor's companion, and a couple of other allies have to stop the Cybermen. Well, I say a couple of... Could this be something that it's something they're doing... otherwise, what's the point of introducing it? And it's not really something that, unless if it's something to be made to be left a mystery, then it's not exactly something that's supposed to be made to be left a mystery, like the suggestion of the. I mean, it's not like this. But when I would have really, but she also serves as a secondary companion to David Tennant's Doctor. Basically, if you weren't a middle-aged white man, you were pretty much screwed. Well, a middle-aged white man who was basically, if you weren't a middle-aged rich or basically, if you weren't an upper or middle-class middle-aged white man. I mean, young men were a bit okay if rich or middle, again upper or middle, and any poor. I mean, the closest we got is probably Missy. And also the Mars. I think the closest is the free. The only thing he needs to do now is go excellent half a dozen times in the episode, and we'll be back in Earthshot. But still, take and rats and mice being upgraded into cyber, not mites, not cyber mites, mats. Yeah, Planet of the Dead, you need to have a better climax. Actually, no, that's a push of a couple of buttons as well. Yeah, Planet of the Dead, you need to get a better climax. It's basically, it actually does feel like a Series 4 episode, but not quite as good. It does, but, well, considering how they're treated in some episodes in the Moffat era, not all of them, but some episodes, then they're not. Then again, compared, and even their the second of their Chris Chibnall stories, Ascension of the Cybermen, and the. Just noticed I put a hole in my sock. Anyway, I will be scoring The Next Doctor a well-deserved 8 out of 10. So that's it from So that's it from the. And I'll see you guys next time for the first and currently only Easter special